Now I'm ready. Sorry.
Hello, everyone! I jumped the gun on Gianna. Hi! Welcome to 10 Forward Weekly. Ooh, getting the cat tax out of the way. If you're peeing, I will stop this stream to throw you out. Don't try
Stop the
it.
stream to stop the stream.
Do not try to pee on the couch. We can
It's what the
all
cat
see
wants.
you. Like 71 people can see you. Do not pee. Are we clear? Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of 10 Forward Weekly. My name is Mike Fadum, also known as Ambassador Kell. I am your community manager, and I am joined by, this week, environment artist Gianna Rockwell and content
Hi.
designer John Hegner.
Hello.
Hello, folks. How are you today?
Doing great.
I am doing phenomenal.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Well, we're here today to talk about Operation Wolf, which is the brand new task force operation that just came out with Reflections, our new story release. Let's start with diving into a little bit of the backstory on this one. Where did the idea of invading Mirror Earth Space Dock come from?
Well, it kind of starts with environment. So we knew that we were doing Mirror Universe stuff, so we were sort of looking around at kind of what signature areas would be awesome to showcase in the Mirrorverse. And we'd already done Parak Nor, so we were like, well, we could do what about Earth Space Dock? And take it away, Gianna.
This was like week one on the job for you too, right?
It was like, I think my third month in, actually,
Oh,
where
okay.
I was being told, I was like, oh, you're going to
I-
start your map. And I was like, just learning the engine and all that stuff. I was like, oh, okay.
And,
All on my own.
and I am pretty certain that I had a conversation with you like right then. I'm like, I am so sorry that I am the first person you get to work with because I do crazy shit. Sorry, can I curse on the stream?
I mean,
apologize.
you just did, so it's
Stuff. Yeah.
Uh,
Demonetized.
please don't
No,
give us
I'm
money.
so glad it worked out the way it did because I remember talking about the idea and we weren't even sure it was going to happen at first. And I was like, oh, I hope it does. It sounds so exciting.
Yeah, and I mean that was I have a million crazy ideas in my head at any moment, and so I went through the process of basically going, does this sound doable and or cool to anybody else? And everybody agreed it sounded cool. And once everybody was on board the cool train,
Then you started the doable
motivation to sort of dig in and make sure it could work started happening because there was we were like, how are we going to make this happen? And I was like, I think we can do it. Like, it seems like it should be possible. And we were digging around and looking for like really complex ways of making it work. And it ended up basically being the very simple approach that I had in my mind from the very beginning that won out. Which is great because it means less moving parts to break. So
So you, I imagine you folks were working in parallel. What was the process like, both from a design and an environment perspective, of taking a social map, basically, a map that is only a social map, and turning it into a mission map?
you want to start?
Yeah, there were definitely some challenges. I basically just took a copy of ESD and then see where we could work from there. But since it was a social map, there's a lot of things like you don't usually do combat in social map, so it took a lot of time to like try to figure out what the proof to make sure it's good for combat and everything flows and works easy with the mission that John had laid out because it's there's definitely a bunch of like things like you can't have like what's the point of having chairs to sit on in ESD if you're running around fighting? So there's a bunch of things that had to go through and make sure it was proof for that.
Yeah, and like from my point of view, I just looked at it as like it would be awesome to fight here, and then starting to look really closely at each of the rooms and sections and be like, what is the gameplay that's going to happen in here? Like operations was a given. Like we knew that we were going to do operations and the concourse because they're linked to the central portions of it, but then we had a big discussion where we sort of laid out how much time it would take to do each of the other sections of ESD and get time estimates. And initially you could not go into the shuttle bay.
Yep.
And I kept looking at the shuttle bay and I was like, there's technically less work to get that working than like Club 47 or the med bay and all that stuff. And I'm like, and that's where the crazy idea started to come up where I was like, if we're in the shuttle bay, you have to fight a shuttlecraft, or in this case, a runabout. And everybody looked at me like I was crazy, and I was like, but I want to try. So I kept referring to it as like Star Trek's version of a dragon fight.
Yeah,
Which is basically what it is, because it lays down a fiery death patch.
yeah,
every
and
couple
then shoots
seconds.
burning rocks at you.
Yes,
They're just
and then-
missiles.
Yeah. And it was great. So like once we sort of realized like what the obvious go-to places were, which was operations, concourse, and then picked the final section, which was the shuttle bay, like the entire thing just like came together. We threw in the blast doors to cordon off places that we weren't revamping, and like the flow was there, and it like I often find that in my design that it's like it's almost like carving a statue out of marble. Once you remove sort of the pieces that don't belong, like it just comes to life. Like it just comes together really quick. So most of the process was basically figuring out what didn't need to be there, and then it just solidified.
Mar Hawkman says apparently this is our third ground combat boss fight versus the shuttle. Well, it's the best one, so I know
So
the
the other ones, yeah. So the
ahead.
other ones have it sort of like going around in a loop-to-loop or a figure-8 pattern and such. I had a very distinct idea in my mind that it was so it's named Operation Wolf as a sort of homage to the old arcade game where you're strafing side to side. So I wanted the boss fight to have that old style arcadey feel where it's just sort of strafing back and forth and shooting at you, and that's what we got. So win-win.
Awesome. I see a couple people in chat talking about the episode. Please be careful because it's only been out for a day and not everybody in chat has played it yet. I know you're all super excited and we're glad you're super excited, but don't spoil things. Quick answer for Kel
It's
M.
been out a whole day.
Everyone's played it. Obviously, no one has real lives. If I didn't work on this game, I wouldn't have had time to play it yet.
I haven't played it yet on my live character.
Yeah. Just a quick answer for Kel MG. The pants that are shown in the lower decks uniform picture are the tight basic pants that everybody has. So the team, the team didn't feel a need to make new pants when the lower decks pants are pants that everybody already has. That should have been in the blog though. That didn't get in the blog because I didn't realize there were pants in the costume until after it went live. So my apologies for my missing on that. But if you want to make the costume, there'll be a costume guide coming out later this week too. So enjoy that. All right. So the shuttle itself, I hear, was a bit of a bear to get working. I remember the celebratory parties when it got. When it was finally working, 2 weeks ago.
So it was mostly working a few months ago, but we often run into this where there's like very edge case situations where it's like, oh, we could not have anticipated that at the time until like QA was like full bore, like hammering on it to like find all the bugs. There were some issues at one point where like orbital strikes would knock the runabout into the floor and kill it. And I was like, that's bad. I mean, it makes sort of sense. Like a full-on Starship phaser would probably
wreck a
do
shuttle.
some damage to it. Yeah. But not to get too spoilery on this stuff. I had alluded to it earlier where we had like a lot of really complex sort of ideas on how to make the runabout move around. And we ended up going with a very simplistic system. And that's when we started celebrating, is it was like we had the time to sort of branch out and explore like different methods that were more robust, and then when those didn't pan out the way that we wanted or we ran into complications, we cut bait early and just went back to the thing that we were 95% certain would work, but have more limitations. And I just pivoted to make sure that those limitations weren't limitations for the content that we finally ended up with. So yeah, it was definitely a full team lift where I was pulling people into meetings going, okay, here's the situation. This person knows this far up into like how this power works. You have more power knowledge on this. How does that work? How does this interact with like AI code? And yeah, it was a complete team lift as everybody had their little bits of expertise that went into the stone soup to get it to work. And it was good times. It was good team building. exercise.
Yeah, I remember being pulled into a bunch of different meetings with sides of development I've never seen yet before. And it was just like, all right, here's the problem, and then I was like, oh, I have to try and figure out ways in the environment to see if I can help as well.
So the what was the process like of taking, from an environment perspective, of taking the existing map and turning it into a mirror map? What kind of steps did you have to go through to do that?
I was kind of working alongside because this is the mirror content we have about with the mission as well. Working alongside with Nick and as well as Scott to kind of see what there was kind of like be like. Now I'm trying to think of the word. Make them similar of the two different design cover kind of copied that same language. So I was looking to see what Nick was doing with the mission, and then I was trying to copy a bit over that with ESD, but putting a little bit of a different spin on it as well to kind of make it seem all coherent.
Neat. So what's from a technical perspective, what's the process like? I assume you started with the original ESD map and kind of had to work from there. What was the process like?
At first, it was like when we were even going about pitching it, I took just screenshots of ESD and started like messing around with it, and even like in Photoshop doing color swaps and stuff to see what that would look like. I was looking up a lot of references of existing mirror stuff to see like what was the transition there, and it took a lot of you wanted it to feel like a different if it's mirror version. You don't want to feel like you're stepping into ESD, so or the Prime ESD. So we took a bit of that. I was a lot of material swapping, and then I would take the existing geo that's in ESD and have to modify it to fit the new materials that we were putting on these pieces.
So when you put a new material, what breaks about it when you put a new material on it that you have to then go in and fix?
Well, there's some. So the geo so with the material, it's assigned to certain parts of the geo, but if it doesn't fit the pattern, like everything becomes too. Basically, if everything is becoming way too red, for example, because I used a lot of red, it doesn't align with the certain parts of the geo. So I had to go in, modify things to make sure they fit the new kind of materials that we're applying for, or else it would look exactly like ESD. The patterns and the colors aren't exactly complete switches. There are some uh, places where they're different.
Nice. All right. Well, we can cover that a little bit more when we dive into the episode itself in a few seconds. But first, let's quickly go through the fan art we got this week. So first of all, yay! Oh, by the way, Trexpert, sorry, we decided against reading your fan fiction because it was 7 pages long, and we figured that would take a while. So, but we loved it. Thank you very much for sending it in. Andy Baker sent this awesome shot of. Okay, I know one of those is the Excelsior. I cannot identify the other one, but chat will tell me, so that's okay. Folks, yes, the final cutscene of the episode is considered a spoiler. Saying yes, that was so cool, I loved it, is great. Saying specifically what happens is don't do that because people might not have played yet, and it's a cool reveal. All
Who
right.
would have expected that many tribbles in a trench coat?
Yeah.
So this is a apparently that's the Nova, and now everyone's going tier 6 Nova when. Musteroni is saying, no wonder we won't get a tier 6 Nova. I don't actually control what ships get made when. If I did, you would never have gotten a no berth. So this is an awesome shot by Derek Mann. Duncan Idaho apparently time traveled back to the the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Good for you, buddy.
Shit, it's not breaking any codes.
Yeah. JB sent us this shot that I can only call butt kicking. Because he's kicking him in that. Anyway. Kitsula sent us, there's 106 light years to Drozana. We have a tank full of dilithium, half a pack of snake leaf. It's dark and we're wearing sunglasses. And some people in chat will be old enough to get that. And some people on this stream will be too young to get that.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could continue to make myself feel old.
More than yourself.
Mario Kukin sent us this shot of. I love how this portal looks in the episode. I guess this is kind of a spoiler, but not as much of one. That just looks really cool. Mark Hawkman sent us a dope shot of. I'm not sure what map this is, but it's chasing after the Bad guy time ship. My brain is functioning so well today, but it was cool.
It's been a week.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a week. Max Prochaska sent us this shot of their Titan, captioned, "It's the Titan," which I liked. This is obviously taken on Xbox, and reminds me to go poke Travis again and see if we can get any time on his schedule to get Xbox an ability to remove their HUD. Anorax, thank you, everybody. Spiritborn sent us this cool shot of the classic Discovery and original Constitution facing off with one another. That's great. And Tim Parker Chambers sent us a dope shot of that's not the Gagarin, that's the ship the Gagarin is based on, whose name I have forgotten, but it's one of my favorites. Paul O'Donnell is going outside to watch the rocket launch here in a few minutes. That sounds fun. I assume you're in.
I have no knowledge of the rocket launch. I have been so tuned out of social media for Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah,
Is
I
there
didn't.
another Falcon launch or something
It
today?
must be something like that. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, it's a Shepherd. It's a Shepherd mixed with a Gagarin. Oh wow, that popped immediately.
What popped immediately?
The
Oh,
Q.
the
the mission.
TFO.
Yeah. Someone said Rex Shepherd. A couple of people, while we're waiting for this to load, a couple of people pointed out that the pants in the picture in the blog are not the tight basic pants. The tight basic pants are what you're going to see in the uniform guide later this week. So I have them on my characters. They look good. Mark Hockman says, the noob TFO is awesome and most of the players love it. I understood that reference, sir. That's before the time of everyone on this stream, but there was a one of our expansions, I believe it was Delta Rising. Someone, I've never found out who, but I have my suspicions, said in an interview that the expansion is awesome and all the players love it during a time when there was a large chunk of the player base that was not very happy, and so it has become a meme ever since. Oh, sorry. If I'm too quiet, I will boost myself up. Use tight basic for the lower decks uniform. It works and looks good.
10 seconds.
Yep. All right. So let's take a look around.
I will talk to the audio designers and find out what we can do with that music. That was a lot of fun working with audio to get something unique.
Yeah.
That was our lead art art director Bill, who was during a playtest was like, we need like a guitar riff to happen here when this shuttle comes flying in.
I can't remember which game he referenced, but it was like
Doom or something.
No, it was we need like a twin cobra like boss fight like music, and everyone was like, I get that reference, let's get on it. And I'm pretty sure it was like, we need neck slide on the guitar going on.
Yeah. Okay, so John, you were the one who designed this mission. What was the
stop reminding me.
What was the thought process on this section, where the defend the exocomp section?
So like I said, a lot of the stuff sort of came together once we had removed what we knew we weren't going to use. And part of the process of removing stuff was we were like, well, there's a lot of glass in ESD that is going to showcase places that we're not spending time revamping. So we put in the blast
concourse is very open.
Yeah, so we put in these blast doors to cut off areas that we didn't want, and I was like, oh man, if we had blast doors, it would make sense. If Terra and ESD is under attack, they're going to drop blast doors everywhere to cordon places off. That just makes sense. So putting one in ops, I was like, well, it makes sense that the first step, I often look at things in a logical, real world way where I'm like, well, your mission is to get into operations and steal a bunch of information. So what's the first hurdle I'm going to throw in your way to prevent you from doing that? And getting the door open was the first thing, and I was like, you can't just be walk up to a panel and go beep 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 and it just opens. So that was like, all right, stage 1 is doing a whole big heavy lift process to open that blast door because it needs to feel like an achievement when it gets opened.
Yeah, because that is a
And so coming down
gigantic
here, it was
door.
like,
I honestly, before I played the mission, didn't realize we were going over to that side of the concourse. So I thought that was just that area was just cut off for the reasons you specified before. I was very pleasantly surprised when we got to open that door.
yeah.
Yeah.
So coming down here, I mean, it's been made different for gameplay reasons. So there's a little bit less vertical elements.
Remove the glass that was like arcing over it.
But yeah, coming down here, originally it was just like people were having to repeatedly click on stuff, and that was less entertaining than getting to fight. So instead, it was like, all right, well, let's make it all about how many times do you have to click to get the exocomps to start doing the hack was the measure of success. If you can do it just once in order to start the thing and you don't have to repair any of them, then you're doing awesome. But if you have to constantly get them back up on their their treads, not feet, I guess.
They're floaty.
Their anti-grav plating, then you're doing less good. And so that was sort of the impetus for that. And then once we got that in place, it was like, well, where do we want to place the consoles? They can't be too close together because we need to like have people spread out and give people reasons to utilize like minefields and other things in order to slow the Terrans down from all the directions they were coming in. And then we like worked with artists to come up with like the computer screens that are flashing when they're active, in order to give you a visual indication from a long distance away that the hack was going on. So like one of the exocomps was down, so all the computer screens went down because you need all 3 of them up in order to keep the hack going.
Got it.
From anywhere on the map, looking, if you see the monitors like flickering with all the data being sifted through, then you know that
The hack is going on.
Well, yeah, the hack is going on. So there's like a bunch, like we try to do like redundant levels of information to the player. So that's why we have like the mission tracker be replaced with the map display bars with the bars that are filling up and stuff. So it's multiple ways of communicating the information to the player base.
Nice.
But yeah, it was just initially it was like, yeah, you go to the concourse and do a thing, and then you go into ops and do the other thing, and then it sort of developed from that into a cohesive sort of story arc.
Before we run to the next section, I don't want to abandon my team entirely here, but a bunch of people have said how much they loved seeing the mirror ships sitting there in the shuttle bay. Whoa!
To find you.
Yeah, they came and found me. Good for them. What was that? I know making ground scale ships is a whole thing. Gianna, what is that process like?
That was definitely a learning process for me for a while because it wouldn't make sense just for that ship, docking bay to be empty. So Thomas did a bunch of the ships, but their ground scale is completely different than seeing the ships out in space. So I had to get help from Nick to learn the process of how to convert that into a ground space so you can put it in and it fits in the right size, and it basically just with that. And you have the ships in the docking bay as well as they're flying around outside as well if you look out the window here in Ops.
Got it.
You have those elements in regular ESD, and I guess the idea was that you didn't want to take away those nice visual elements that you have, so we tried to find ways to make them work in the Mirror Universe.
Yeah, to answer one of the chat's questions, I had come up with the idea of using the hackers' names for the exocomps.
Nice.
And yeah, like people are talking about the blast doors not making sense, and from a certain level, yes, that I agree that force fields are pretty much used for everything in Star Trek for emergency stuff. I figured if anyone was going to use just raw duranium or improbablite blast doors to block transporters and have an extra level of protection, it would be the Terrans. I kind of look at them as sort of like the Russian motif for building aircraft, where it's like it has to be able to fly when half of it is gone. Whereas the Federation is more U.S. military style, where it's like, oh, it's this elegant piece of equipment that if an EMP hits it, everything shuts down.
Yeah. Well, and plus, the Mirror Universe, this probably has changed in our storyline, but the Mirror Universe was always kind of meant to be a little bit less technologically advanced than the Federation. Like the Terrans have always kind of been scavenging stuff, so maybe they just don't know how to do force fields good. Someone said harder to chew through a metal wall than a force field. Yeah, absolutely. Someone else said
harder to see through a metal wall than a translucent,
yeah.
semi-transparent force field, and ultimately it was an art decision because we wanted to block off visibility to the areas of the blast.
Yeah.
If you see it, you would want to go there.
Yeah.
Marhawkman says blast doors are the backup if the force fields aren't working. That's probably also true.
Yeah.
I see someone slinging lower decks cannon here. I've heard that thing is amazing. It looks really cool. Jeez, look at that blast.
Like a laser lance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know on
a
the
straight
original map, as you're looking out this window, you'll see ships flying by and stuff. So were those all like encounters you had to go and take out, or is that like Geo? What discipline did that fall under to replace those?
Flying
with these
outside
guys?
the window.
Yeah.
They're flying. You have fed if you're on Prime ESD, you have the
Right.
fed ships on out there, and we could have removed them, but we had all these nice ships, so we replaced them, so they're flying around out there.
Oh, nice. So there's mirror ships flying around out there. I haven't
Yeah,
seen
they
them yet.
are mirror ships flying around out there. Every
Nice.
ship in here has been switched for mirror.
That's awesome. Quinn, when will you learn my minigun is better than your minigun?
I mean, you ambushed him at his office. Like, he doesn't have his best minigun with him.
Listen, if he doesn't have his best minigun, he doesn't deserve to be an admiral of the Terran Empire. You sleep with your best minigun. Come on.
Whoa.
Where is he keeping it is the real question.
Where am I keeping it? Oh, no, wait. Look at that. It's gone. Okay. To the shuttle bay. I actually haven't played this. Well, I played it with the new music yesterday, but I couldn't hear it because I had something else playing at the same time. So I'm excited to hear this guitar trill.
Get me out of here!
Oh yes, the unwalkable up slight slope. I remember putting that out in a playtest.
Did the actors have as much fun recording their lines in the new TFO and episodes as it sounds? I didn't work
sure.
directly with them, but everything that I heard was that everyone had a great time working on this.
I would
know
love to
Chase
chat
was
with.
really happy because anytime you get to play the mirror version of your character is always a good time.
It's got to just be so liberating, especially if you're playing like
Yeah.
somebody like Quinn, who's like the good, the buttoned up officer all the time.
Oh, and he comes across as such a tool. And
I know,
love
it's
it.
so great.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this has changed. The last time I play tested this, and I didn't test it out last time, there was a you could run out into the concourse, and the shuttle would still target you. Like the missiles would still reach you because it had really good advanced guidance systems, obviously.
I mean, we're talking a ship that is capable of engaging capital ships and, having a non-zero chance of survival.
Now, John, I do have one complaint. I cannot get closer and hit this with my sword. Drive me closer. I want to hit him with my sword.
You want to
All
go
right.
right up to the phaser and just stab?
Just start stabbing
So
Quinn.
what I'm hearing is you want a TFO where you get to play as a runabout, but you're fighting nothing but melee Klingons?
No, I want to play as a melee
Oh.
Klingon fighting nothing but
You just want to
runabouts.
sword fight the runabout.
Yeah, I want to sword fight everything in this game. I sword fight
Alright.
T-Rexes.
You want
know.
to sword fight a Constellation
Have you
class.
seen my YouTube channel? I'm all about sword fights, sir. Go to League of Swords.
So there was a bug at one point where people could use... John, I think you actually duplicated this in one of the playtests. You could use like a melee attack and like scale up and over
Yeah.
the barrier wall that we have, preventing
Because
you from getting in there.
your character was so determined to get to the shuttle, you just run up right up the invisible wall.
Yeah, you can actually
little known
still-
fact,
I've noticed
if
if
you
you get-
punch, if you punch a runabout directly in the nose, it will run away afraid of you.
Because he does try to get up there. I thought that was hilarious yesterday. Okay, I'm about to die here. Maybe I should
Yeah.
go.
Don't
drain
stand in the
life.
literal fire.
Yeah, careful. A fun touch is that if you look in the interior of Runabout, you can see Quinn in there being angry.
Yes, I love that. Someone was commenting on that earlier. Because, like, even in the show, they didn't model the insides of runabouts.
Right.
Yeah, one of the things that came on like almost 0th hour, I would say 11th hour, was all the damage decals for the runabout, which just
It looks so
it's
cool.
so phenomenal as you're just like
Yeah.
blazing away into this thing, and it's like, oh, I'm actually making progress.
Yeah.
You feel like you're doing real damage to it.
Oh god. Oh god. Oh god.
So there was actually a bug with the BATD that did allow you to get to it. We have since corrected that.
Yeah, I heard about that. Did that get corrected yesterday, or is that getting corrected tomorrow?
Yeah, I think that is in tomorrow's release. So if you
I-
want to cheat, do it now.
I love watching this part. I remember how much fun Weston had getting that like shuttle exploding as it flies out animation going.
So long, Quinn.
Yeah, it really adds to it. So cool.
What do I need?
Well done.
Let's see. What am I doing? All right, new Kara was what I was low on.
Fine performance nonetheless.
All right.
Your odds if you ever
It's so funny how few people click on the "How did we do" button, and it takes so much time out of my day to get that, like to correctly collate all of the variables to calculate that damn score. And
nobody
it makes me
cares.
so sad every playtest, I'm like, click on "How did we do," and nobody does, and I'm like, damn it.
Every now and then I do, but then I'm like, I look at it and I go, I don't know if this is good. So I just skip it.
I feel bad about my progress.
So actually, let me jump back into gameplay because I see some discussion in chat about the promotion that we gave out. Where is it? A mirror pack giveaway. Scroll through all the stuff that I see. Can only be claimed once per account. So, for those saying it wasn't listed anywhere in the game, it's right there in the description, my friends. Anyway,
So, what about a TFO that transitions from ground to shuttle combat midway through? That was actually on the table, if you recall, Gianna. We had a
I
conversation
remember that.
about, instead of, like, when we were getting to a point where fighting the runabout didn't seem like we might be able to do it, I had brought up the idea of getting in the shuttlecraft, but you had to escape through the center of ESD, where all
Oh
those
my
capital
God.
ships are hanging
Yeah,
out.
this is when the shuttlecraft on the table.
I started to bring that up, and everyone looked at me and they were like, okay, stop.
that would be dope, though. We used to
Yes.
have missions that were ground and space TFOs at the same time, but those were like our original raid, like 40-minute long, or possibly 2 to 3 hours long.
It is doable. It's just with the time available that we had there. Like, I think it would be more tenable on in a future release, going in knowing that was our goal, like way ahead of time, and planning for like a extra time to get that big of a lift in. We could probably do something like that. I would love to do that. So I'm right there with y'all.
Fragrance Free Vaseline says in all caps, John Hagner, I swear to God, you make that happen in another way. I mean, there's always the thought that we might go back to Mirror ESD someday. Maybe your dreams will come true.
Maybe.
Maybe.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I am not the master of my own destiny, so
You are not the captain of your fate. You are not the
I'm
master
not
of your
I'm
soul.
not the captain of the ship. I'm just the guy down in engineering that makes the warp core
Yep.
like
I-
thrum faster.
I can do it, Captain. I do have the power.
I'll just stick with it for you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. This has only been half an hour, so I'm probably going to keep on streaming and just play some TFOs with these folks and answer some questions. Y'all are welcome to hang out, or if you have work you have to do, feel free to live long and prosper right out of here. Up to you. No one will be disappointed in you either way. You're both staring at me like you're waiting for me to finish saying something.
I'm reading chat, and there's a lot of stuff going on. Yes, I know that stuff like that has been done and is possible, but given the amount of time I had, because we had not identified that as that's what we're planning on doing at the very beginning, by the time we had come up with the idea of like, well, we could do that, there just wasn't enough time left, and so we had to resolve it in a different way.
Yeah.
So
Cairo, stuff with shuttles is one of those things like PvP of a snake eating its own tail. There isn't a lot of shuttle content because people don't enjoy shuttle content, so there isn't a lot of shuttle content. We could probably make some better shuttle stuff, but it would take time that we continue to spend on making stuff that we know people will play. So there you are.
That question cracks me up because that is not the first time I've had this question asked of me. John, are you related to Will Wheaton at all?
Well, are you?
No, I'm not. He's also much taller than I am. So.
Looney Welsh, will Discovery Captains have unique dialogue in upcoming mirror content? If Paul, our writer, thinks of it, yes, you will. If he doesn't, and doesn't have a good idea for it, no, you won't. Anything we can say about the ground character art changes? Yes, it's part of a process, and that process is not complete. The new bodies you saw this week, those are final-ish, but since the feedback you guys have started giving, there are already changes coming to them. I know the female body is getting a little bit more definition on the skin. The initial thought was that it shouldn't be overly muscly on every female character, but I think Ian is finding a nice balance. So, why is the ground Danube so much nicer than the current space one? Because they had time to do the ground Danube for this mission, and I don't think anybody had time to do the space one yet. Let's see. Zatvash Thought is trying to trick us. It says he wants you to know, Gianna, that Nick has revealed all the details on all of your current projects, so you can talk about all of them. This is a lie.
Oh, of course.
Do not believe his lies.
Well, I mean, if Nick says so.
It's only
The
a
triple
trick.
trench coat wasn't a lie then.
Yeah, it's only a trick if you believe it. Otherwise, it's just hyperbole.
And a half.
Right.
So I can't comment directly on this, but there may be some knife fighting in the future.
Okay, but then I have offered to choreograph sword and knight fights for y'all so many times. There was a bot left fight last year that I didn't get to choreograph. I am a professional sword fight choreographer. Someone bring me in to choreograph that.
Work with Weston.
I know. I'm just putting it out into the universe so people start tweeting at
Yes.
Weston. Let Mike choreograph stuff. Kevin Stillman, we don't have anything to announce on a re-release of A Mirror Guardian. Will we get anything for the Star Trek Enterprise anniversary? We don't have any plans for a major celebration. If you're talking about like, if you're talking like getting voice acting from Enterprise characters or things like that in the game, we might do like a sale or something. I'll have to ask about that.
One should believe everything that comes out of Killy's mouth.
Yes, 100%. So believable, that Killy. Why, I hear
Killy
that's
was
her real
actually-
name.
Killy was actually the first content I worked on Stowe for season 15, I think. And it was so much fun because I was like, everything she's saying in this episode is a lie. And I have to make sure that the lie is believable long enough that it has impact. And so I was just stacking lying as I was going. It was great.
That's amazing. That's got to be fun to write a character who is completely, just utterly lying
And
through their
horrifying
teeth.
because I'm writing for Killy. Crap.
You don't want to get lost in lying on your own line.
Yeah. We're just going to cloak and get out of there. Apparently, Killy has special dialogue for Jem'Hadar to be like, "What are you?" That's great. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Will the new mirror skins be available for player ships? We don't have anything to announce like that right now, but I know Thomas would really like to, so we'll see what happens with that.
I'm just enjoying watching you fly around.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So yeah, my afternoon is free at this point.
All right.
I'm at work, so I can hang out for as long as you want me to hang around for.
Well, awesome.
Yeah.
I will throw you guys
blocked out
questions.
my hour.
Well, I will throw you guys questions from the chat as they come in.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Any plans on doing some new content for either the Delta Quadrant or the Gamma Quadrant? Not right now, but you never know. If the story takes us there. I have
Yeah,
heard.
so
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the ESD alarm klaxon. That's a bug.
Yep.
It's not supposed to be on in normal ESD. It's only supposed to be on in Terran ESD, and some weird osmosis happened in the audio files. So
Yeah, that is getting fixed in tomorrow's maintenance. By the way, there's maintenance tomorrow.
what?
What?
Not just on my apartment's HVAC unit.
I'm so glad that wasn't happening.
Yeah.
All right, here is my trick for winning TFOs, especially those designed by John. Cloaking! every space TFO you've done, I end up coming to you and going, hey, I can just do this in cloak. Is that a problem? And you're like, no, because then you're not contributing to combat.
Yeah, it's a mixed blessing actually because yeah, you could do all sorts of stuff, but if it makes the TFO take longer or whatnot, then
Yeah.
it's good for you, but not necessarily good for the group.
Ryukin OD says normal ESD should pretty much always be at red alert, given the way the last few years have gone for Starfleet, and that makes sense.
That is true.
Surrender to the Terran Empire!
It's just there's a light switch somewhere that doesn't turn a light on in a hallway, but everybody forgets, and all it does is turn the klaxon on and off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It says alarm that like the alarms are going off, but everyone's carrying on just fine.
that would be hilarious, and maybe we should add that button.
Yeah, literally put a light switch in that the
Yeah.
players can toggle on and off.
Cheat. We got you the light switch so you could turn the lights on and off, not so you could go to red alert.
Or we could. No, I'm not gonna say it. I was gonna say
Now
it
I'm
could be-
deeply curious, but
Yeah, I was gonna say it could be. You could spend dilithium in order to turn it on or off,
Oh,
and
no.
the player base just fights over it.
that would be wonderful, and actually it might be one of the better Dill Sync ideas I've heard so far.
Yeah. Reminds me of back in the day when I was working on Vanguard and doing the diplomacy system. That was basically the mechanic in every city. There were all these levers in the background of the city that, as you did diplomacy with different factions, it would cause the levers to go up, and when they hit thresholds, citywide buffs would go off. But every faction, when it increased, it decreased one or more other factions, and so there were just giant diplomacy groups like roaming the streets, doing the diplomacy system with NPCs to like fight over like whether there were blacksmithing and crafting buffs or adventuring. It was great.
Oh, that's awesome. That would be a fun thing to do. We've got that of Bajor TFO that's trying to be like that. It'd be fun to do as a PvP event.
Yeah.
No combat PvP.
Yeah, I mean diplomacy would be a great system that I would love to work on in Star Trek because it's got it in its bones.
Yeah.
Star Trek is most episodes have a degree of diplomacy in them, but it's just trying to shoehorn a system in like that has a lot of
Yeah, especially this
lot
late
of risks.
in the game's life. There's just so much stuff we can additionally break.
Hiring other people's bots for 3,000 seconds. I love it.
That's a great idea.
Maybe you can do that with Terran bots. It's like you work for me now.
You could bribe them with money. I feel like it will work.
Yeah, that would.
Oh, chat, I'm curious. I want to hear your theories on who the Terran Emperor is. I saw a lively discussion on that in game the other day, and there were some great ideas.
I will speak no evil.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys know, I imagine.
I know nothing.
I don't know
Stones, no.
anything. I have my own theories.
See, Lorca, Wesley, Riker, Lieutenant Tardigrade, Garth of Izar. These are all good ideas. Someone suggested Mirror Boimler the other day, and I love that with all of my heart.
Jack's
Fire?
doing a
There
good
we
thing.
Yep, they got it. It's Peanut Hamper.
Gosh.
Oh
We
man,
weren't supposed to
Mirror
say anything.
Mirror Emperor Elisa Flores would be great. Mirror Emperor Tobin Kev would be great too. Especially if he has a line
the
like
joy
"You'll
of it,
never
is
get
that-
rid of me."
That's the joy, is that there are so many good options.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it seems like Terran Emperors change every other episode. So.
Yeah. Cairo 47, no, that was not the Terran Emperor you saw in the final cutscene. That was just someone else.
Bunch of tribbles in a trench coat.
A bunch of tribbles in a trench coat. Ow, 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 ow.
Repairs complete. Face the wrath of the Terran Empire.
I do love when you do this mission too fast and it's like, face the wrath of the... We've taken too much damage!
We're taking too much.
There it is.
Deploy defensive countermeasures.
Mirror Madron. Oh,
Make
I forgot his name. The guy on DS9 who never talks. That would be a great, that would be a great Mirror Emperor.
Oh, Morn.
Mirror Morn, yeah.
Yeah. Emperor Morn.
Yeah, it's,
My
it
Emperor,
could-
you have yet to make a single royal decree on screen. Because apparently he talks people's ear off when he's not on screen.
Oh yeah.
Make repairs complete.
Mad props to the actor who played Morn, by the way, for showing up in all of that makeup for years just for that joke.
Okay, so, Gianna, we have been called out on a scale of 9.9 to 10. How much do you love the whale probe?
The whale probe.
You know, the T6 whale probe that we're making. Oh no!
I was trying to play dumb.
Make repairs. Repairs complete.
Someone will take that seriously. We're not making a wheel.
I'm all about going back in time to save the whales.
Yeah. That is actually my favorite original Star Trek movie.
That's my favorite too.
Nice.
I think that's the...
Vassier,
That's probably the first one that I have, like, really solid memories of, and then rewatching the other ones, of course, I love Wrath of Khan.
Right.
yeah. Wrath of
I
Khan,
think I just enjoyed that one because it's fun to watch.
I can't remember if I remember Wrath of Khan or if it's just seeing Wrath of Khan when I was a kid, or if it was just the, you know, that the family legend that goes around of. Because I think my parents. No, never mind. This didn't even happen to me. This happened to my wife. Jeez, her parents took her to a drive-in when she was a child, and she woke up just in time for the earworm scene.
Oh, yeah. No, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
I don't have a vivid memory of the entirety of Wrath of Khan until after I saw. Which one was the whale one? 4?
Repairs complete.
Yeah, it was the fourth
Yeah,
one.
4.
The wrath of
But
the
yeah,
Terran
that scene I have a distinct memory of. Also, of the ending. I'm not going to spoil the ending of Wrath of Khan for anybody who hasn't seen it.
Best submarine movie of all time.
Yes. which the late I'm pretty sure it was late 90s. Wing Commander movie almost had a really good Das Boot style hunt in a nebula moment, and then I don't know, it lost its direction somewhere.
Yeah, that movie, man.
We're reading an energy surge coming.
Like I
Potential.
feel like it was yeah, it had a lot of potential, and I feel like it was a case of like they didn't have the time and effects technology to do what they wanted to do, and then were left sort of scrambling to just get it done.
Yeah. Someone
But then
said
also it was a product of the 90s where it's like, okay, we need to have like a bunch of good-looking people and love triangles and
somebody was saying the other day, I think it was about Supernatural. I think I saw that someone was saying that, you know, it's a CW show, so everyone on the show is the most attractive person you've ever seen. And
course.
if anybody is like a 9 and not an 11, you know they're going to be a demon or die.
yeah, that's why we were asked to rate the whale probe 9.9 to 10 is
Yeah.
so that it would adhere to the CW's
Yeah. John, I'm sure I've told you about this. I don't know if I've told you, Gianna, but we had a stream a while ago. Someone was asking about a Tier 6 Deep Space Nine. We had a stream a while ago where we were showing off the new Deep Space Nine model, and I did that by changing my ship's costume into it so it would be easier to fly around and look at it. And then we realized
You
I was...
still run as a station?
Yep. And then we realized I was flying it as a pilot spaceship, so I could do rock and roll and spin the ship around. Do a full
were you,
barrel
were you
roll as
executing
DS9.
death blossoms?
Yes. So many death blossoms. Night Strike has asked if we'll ever get a Tier 6 Typhoon class at least 16 times over the course of the stream, so I'm afraid I must cancel the Tier 6 Typhoon class we had planned. Didn't want to do it, but that's just how it
My
is.
first job on ships too.
Yeah. Speaking of the exocomps, whose idea... I know Paul wrote the dialogue for them, but like, whose idea was it to make them that hilarious?
You haven't seen the last of me. Terok Nor.
I mean, we leaned into the lower decks, like cutesy peanut hamper stuff a little bit.
Yeah.
I remember Al mentioning something about it.
Yeah,
Like,
I kind of let... I just sort of wrote, like, the gist of what I wanted them to say, and I sort of wrote in some vaguely cutesy stuff, like... and then handed it off to Paul, and Paul put in, like, the polish on it, where it's like, I'm gonna cut through this like a hot knife through warm butter.
Yeah.
Which... Like, and exocomps are fun to write for because, I mean, like, Lower Decks really defined it, where it's like, oh, we're sentient now, and we have, like, free will to choose stuff. And, like, the choices they make are not what you or I would necessarily make until they made them, and then you're like, there's no other right answer. Like you are going to be the meme bots, basically.
Yeah, this is your life now. What is my purpose? You exist to make memes for us. Oh my god.
You exist to install Chrome and find memes.
It's funny because I don't watch Rick and Morty, so I've only ever actually seen the meme version of that with the replaced dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what the original dialogue is. I assume something
the
completely
original
nihilistic.
dialogue is, what is my purpose? Your purpose is to pass butter. Which is why it's so dejected. It's like, oh god. In making the new Terran content, did you deliberately darken the Terran setting lights down to bring it in sync with their light sensitivity?
Yes, that was something we talked about because regular ESD is mostly lit by the sun and it's really bright. And so we turned the sun because the Earth is in the station is in a different position than regular ESD if you look out the window in ops. So when we moved the sun behind the Earth, it drastically changed the lighting, and so we decided to make it darker, as you can see in the mission as well, to fit more of that, a little bit towards that idea.
You heard it here first, folks. In the Terran universe, the sun revolves around the Earth.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, of course.
Scientifically,
That's how they
too.
build it.
Vast resources were invested to change the solar system to be
Yeah.
thus.
I love all the players that have found me and are now setting off fireworks around me. A bunch of people were asking about exocomp bridge officers. So one of the weird things with bridge officers is the way the system works right now. They have to be humanoid because they have to do all of the animations and things that bridge officers can do with the different training modules. We've talked a couple of times about offering special bridge officers like Zenkethi or Horta or an exocomp that would, instead of you being able to train them, they would have set abilities that's the only stuff they can do. But I don't know that we've ever actually gone as far as like trying to figure out how that design would work or implement it in any way. The fix for the split beam rifle from Lower Decks is coming tomorrow, Mr. Own. Let's see. Year of Starfleet when? The previous 11 years of this game.
They can still ask for a year of Starfleet.
Yeah, they can. I mean, I guess they're getting it because the Mirror Universe content is going to be all buffing Starfleet stuff. So,
Yeah.
Hearts and Minds needs a better award. Yeah, I think you're right. I think Halloween could use an upgrade. For sure. What do y'all think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did we lose
I
Yana's
mean,
camera?
especially because
I mean,
like we
there.
kind of didn't have a Halloween in the real world yet last year.
Yeah.
Like I remember and apologies for bringing up a real world pandemic, but I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, everybody going like, man, there's going to be so many Sub-Zero and Scorpion costumes at Halloween this year because everybody had a black mask. Yeah.
I actually saw a Dragon Con cosplay compilation that somebody did. There was a ton of Mortal Kombat people for exactly that reason, because everybody had to be in masks, and then everyone else was doing like masks that they'd made that matched their cosplay, which I just thought was so freaking cool.
I was going to bring up something about earlier we had talked about Terran tech being lower tech and everything because of all sorts of stuff that happened in the timelines, and it's been a fun exercise, sort of. So it's really easy to fall into the trap with the mirror universe of going like, oh, because of this event back in like 1820, the timeline would have diverged like so far it would be
Yeah.
unrecognizable. But the entire purpose of the mirror, like, and it goes against logic in a lot of ways, but the
Yeah.
entire purpose of the mirror thing is that it's just a degree off at all times. Like, it's super similar but off.
Which
And
is
that's
why,
a
like, there's stuff
weird
like you meet
rule.
DeSoto for the first time in the Prime universe, and then 10 minutes later you meet him for the first time in the Mirror universe. Yeah. What the Mirror universe really exists to do is to give actors who have been playing Star Trek characters for anywhere from 1 year to 6 years an excuse to play a completely deranged version of their character and have a lot of fun. That is 100% why the Mirror universe exists.
Yes, and that is true only for actors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, folks, we're getting into a lot of the when are things coming questions. Although I like someone's suggestion of a Michael Myers Halloween event. Could you imagine that? Just like running around Earth space dock while some sort of weird like Klingon serial killer chases you. That would be fun. I'm going to suggest that.
That was a pitch I actually made.
Really?
Before Among Us came out, that was a pitch that I had written up. Was basically Among Us, but 5-player on a derelict space station.
That
as a Halloween
would be
event.
great, and there's no reason we can't still do it
Nope.
because
It's
not,
just
Among
one
Us
of those
wasn't even the
things where
first people to do it.
Yeah, there's only so many weeks in a year, and stuff gets cut. So,
Yeah.
but
Kyra,
one day perhaps.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, the same reason why they kept doing holodeck episodes in TNG. Believe me, if we could do holodeck episodes easily, we would be doing a ton of holodeck episodes. We all would want to do a Dixon Hill. We all would want to do a Captain Proton. I wish it was as easy as
I wish the
it
logic
was.
applied.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, Wenlock, exactly. The Disco Mirror Universe episodes, everyone is clearly having the time of their lives. All right. Well, John, Gianna, thank you so much for joining us. I think I am going to wrap us up here. But, folks, it's been great seeing you all in chat. And let me find somebody to raid before I sign off. I almost forgot. I was like, there's something else I normally do. What is it?
Cool. Thank you very much for the invite.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, thank you
I had
so
a
much
great
for
time.
having me.
I'm glad. Let's see. Trying to see who I haven't rated in a while. Let's see. How's this person?
I love these types of missions where you're just in fucking mayhem. I love
Who is
it.
this person?
All right, that sounds good. He dropped an F-bomb, but who cares? He seems like he's having a fun time. All right, folks. It has
Fusion
been...
bomb? Isn't that overkill?
You are hilarious. All right. Well, folks, thank you so much for joining us. It is, as always, a pleasure to hang out with y'all. And until next time, bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.